Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of My Future Energy Career. My name is Jalen Choi and I will be interviewing today's STEM hero, Matthew McFarlane. Thanks for joining us today, Matthew.
Not a problem.
So Matthew is involved in energy analysis with Henderson Engineers. And once again, so glad to have you. And without further ado, I'll pass it off to Matthew and you can tell us a little bit more about your career.
Okay, so again, my name is Matthew McFarlane. I work at Henderson Engineers as an energy analyst, but the way I started my career was as an engineer. So I model the energy use within buildings to really figure out ways that we can reduce our overall energy use. And as many of you may know or may not know, buildings are one of the main contributor to the energy consumption in the world. So the more we can reduce the energy consumption in buildings, the more we can reduce our overall energy use. What I really love about my job is that each day when I wake up, it's like a new challenge. It's a new puzzle that I get to solve. There's questions that I'm constantly getting the chance to answer. And so it just brings a lot of excitement to my work and it helps kind of feed that passion. One of the sectors that I'm really interested in is geothermal. It's where we're borrowing energy from the ground. And it's really kind of creates a free cooling effect that we can reject and pull energy out of the ground. And so one of the challenges I've been working on a project is how can we best implement it?
Yeah, that sounds like a very interesting project. Yeah, thank you for sharing that though. And we'll move on to a little bit about where you're from.
So I grew up in a small town in Ohio until about high school when I moved to Seattle for my dad's job at Boeing. And so my dad is an avionics technician and my mom's an elementary school teacher. So yeah, I kind of always got that really educational push from my parents, and it really helped me and my siblings find engineering because my older sister is a mechanical engineer, and my brother is a computer science engineer, and I'm an architectural engineer. So it's a family of engineers, and it just kind of helps feed that interest and kind of expanding and getting people outside really interested in engineering.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then we'll move on to some of your interests.
So some of the things I love to do, I love sports. The two main that I play are basketball and bowling. I've also really gotten into the disc golf a lot more recently, and that's what I really like to do in my free time. I also love woodworking. When I started my architectural engineering degree, we had an architectural studio where we actually got to do a lot more modeling and building. And so the two projects you see up on the screen are two of the first projects I did, where one is a model of a famous architectural building, and the next is a really complicated birdhouse that probably the most expensive birdhouse you'll ever see as far as materials go. But it was just a really fun project to design it from the ground up and then to actually construct it. Like many students, I loved Legos. When I was younger, I had Lego cities built within our rooms. But I also just love tearing things apart, whether it be computers, toys, objects, just really figuring out how things work and how things tick, and just like learning as much as I can and how I can expand that into other questions or challenges that I find. If you enjoy working with your hands, it's really just you kind of think of an idea and then really think about how you can make that idea come to life, and then try a bunch of things and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, cool. Engineering very applicable to our everyday lives. But yeah, moving on, a little bit more about your educational pathway.
So, like I said, when I was in Seattle, I decided I wanted to do architectural engineering. Architectural engineering is a kind of a niche engineering in that not too many schools in the country have it. And so when I was doing my college search, I found that the University of Kansas had not only a really good architectural engineering program, but one of the early few that had an accredited architectural engineering program. And so that's where I really decided to go. I made the leap and went to moved from Washington State to Kansas, and it was one of the best decisions of my life because I loved my university program. I made a lot of great friends. I got to do a lot of cool things, and it really eventually led to a career that I really enjoy. So I earned my bachelor's and my master's in architectural engineering before even going into engineering, I did a lot of job shadowing, just really trying to understand what exactly an engineering does. Is kind of one of the terms that we like to throw around a lot, but trying to understand what an engineer actually does, I think is an important distinction. It's all about problem solving. I like to think that if you have a goal in life to change the world, and you think you can do so using concepts and problem solving, engineering is really the path for you. And so to kind of step into that throughout high school, I took as many engineering related classes, which CAD, builder classes, even construction classes can really help with engineering. And that kind of all was the stepping stones to how I ended up where I am today.
Awesome. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, so moving on, we'll go into to get here what you had to learn.
So like I alluded to earlier, I think one of the biggest challenges in my life was just not being as shy or stepping out of my comfort zone. I think I made the biggest leap when I started my freshman year at KU. Like I remember walking in as a freshman, I would never think to do something like this webinar or getting up and talking in front of people. But I just kind of took every opportunity that kind of came my way to get up and speak in front of people and join organizations and things like that. And that not only helped me grow as a person, it helped me. And like I found that it was something I really loved to do, was getting up in front of a group of people, especially when I had the opportunity to talk about something I really enjoy, like engineering. And so it's like take every opportunity to learn as much about something else and about yourself as you can. For me, it was joining a lot of student groups, just trying things out and getting involved and learning more about what people are excited about. And then just being flexible, and just like when you see a door open, go ahead and walk through it, even if you've never tried it before, because it's either could be something that you'll find out you're not interested in doing in the future, it's something that you love doing, or you find that you grew through the activity and it leads you to even more opportunities in the future.
Yeah. Again, great advice. Moving on, some more advice you have to offer the students.
Yeah, like a kind of have on the slide is just keep asking questions and expand your knowledge as much as you can. I think one of the most exciting things about especially our early lives in education is finding things that you're passionate about. For me, it's engineering, it's talking to students, it's getting people excited about engineering and things like that. And it's also about energy and getting people excited about energy conservation and sustainability. And so as the more and more you try things out, the more and more you start to discover what that passion for you is. And but the only way to do that is to keep asking questions, ask what kind of impact you can have on the world, ask where you'd like to see yourself. Like if you imagine yourself in a place, how do you imagine that you would get there? And really using all the people around you, all the opportunities you see, as just like a stepping stone to help better you, and use it as a like kind of a launching point to get to where you'd like to be.
But yeah, for the last portion of our interview, I just want to ask a couple student questions. One being, so it sounds like you knew you wanted to be an engineer from an early age, and you stuck with it throughout your life. But at what point, or was there an event where that made you really want to get into energy?
So that happened probably about my sophomore year of college. When I went into architectural engineering, I thought I wanted to be a structural engineer. I had actually thought about going into civil engineer to do structural engineering. And then it was a semester where I took a kind of structural engineering based class and a mechanical engineering based class together. And it was a really, it was a more of a difficult semester. Than my other ones, but it was also really exciting because although I did well in both of them, I found that I just enjoyed the mechanical based one so much more. It was thermodynamics, so it was constantly learning about the transfer of energy and things like that. And I think that was the first time where I decided to switch my mindset from civil engineering and structural engineering to more the mechanical and energy transfer side of things. And then from there, I just kind of expanded that. I started to talking to professors, that worked more on energy, I started getting involved in energy related projects. And I knew that I've always wanted to be involved in sustainability, and energy is a huge part of that. And it's a really good way to get yourself like right in the center of sustainability, since we're constantly talking about the conservation of energy, and just kind of building up on that, is where I really kind of got my interest in energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really cool that you found your passion in college through like that. Since your main focus is about energy conservation in buildings, what can students do at home to limit their energy use and conserve more energy?
So I mean, it's really about how you use your home. So when you walk out of a space, or you turning off the lights, can you convince the people who buy like the light bulbs? Are you switching to LEDs? Um, with the growing technology that we have, our buildings are getting smarter and smarter, to where they not only know our schedule, but you can control them a lot better with Amazon Alexas, with Google Homes. And so are you taking advantage, or are you able to take advantage of that technology? Unplugging things when you're not using them, turning off things. That's really the kind of the best case you can do at your own home, is just taking account of what's drawing energy in my house when I don't need that energy to be drawn, and can I save some of that energy?
Yeah, awesome. Once again, thank you for sharing. And that does it for the student portion of this student question portion of this interview. I just want to take this time to thank Matthew for being with us here today and sharing more about your educational and career pathway on this webinar.
No, I appreciate you having me. I love talking about engineering and energy, and I would love to take any more questions through email if I can, or anything like that. This is another one of my passions of talking to students, and so I love the opportunity to get to do things like this.
Yeah, thank you once again, Matthew, for coming on. And I also want to say thank you to everyone viewing today. If you're interested in seeing more STEM Hero interviews, you can check out our Vimeo or YouTube channel at the Energy Coalition, or head over to peakstudents.org to view our full STEM library.